Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here and so appreciative of the opportunity to share the joy of retaining business. Not just building it, but retaining it. So let me ask you a question. How many people think it's more expensive to get new business than to retain business? Raise all those hands. It's everybody in the room, because it is more costly to replace than it is to retain. And you know, I have to use the model of integrity-based communications because that's what everything is based on for my leadership work. So let me take you down a trip down memory lane. Years ago, a researcher named Albert Moravian, most recently out of UCLA, did some research that said communication is broken into three parts: words, tone of voice, body language. The words and the words alone are a mere 7%. Think about that next time you send a text or an email. The tone of voice is, who in the audience knows? 38%. 38%. So it's still more than a third. But body language got a whopping 55%. So even those of you who are not math geniuses can add it up. And what the research was saying is not that this was a big pizza pie that's broken into three parts. It was saying that if you're sending a mixed message, that is, what is coming out of your mouth is not what your body language is saying or your tone of voice is communicating, then the body language will trump the tone of voice, and the tone of voice will trump the words. So when you think about integrity-based communications as it relates to just these three parts, it's huge to think about how raising an eyebrow or crossing your arms or, God forgive us, turning our backs will send a message that is not what you intend to send. Now, I like to use the example of walking in to home at the end of the day, and John and I are expecting to have a nice evening together. He sent a text during the day, said, "Honey, I know it's a long day, how's it going?" And I text back, F-I-N-E. But when I walk into the house, he's got a nice glass of wine on the table for me. He looks at me and says, "Honey, what's wrong?" And I say, "Nothing." What is the message he's receiving? Something's real. And it may be you, buddy. Now, fortunately, in my house, that doesn't happen. But how often are we doing that when we are communicating with people? Particularly, I want you to think about the top 5 customers you have. These could be internal customers. These can be external customers. If you work with a spouse, you better believe that top 5 ought to be on your list because you're building a relationship for life. But that's what we're doing with our customers too, the new business that we're trying to generate. So, if you are sending a mixed message, that is, you're all fired up when you're closing the deal and you're doing business, but you stop loving them the way they want to be loved, it's easy for someone else to woo them away. Yes or yes? Yes. Okay. So the idea of integrity-based communications is, it's not just the words, the tone of voice, and the body language that need to be in alignment. It's the way you sweep into the room with your energy. Is it positive energy that's coming with you, or is it, oh my gosh, here they come, I don't want to see them? Really? That's a mixed message, right? If you're there gung-ho when you're closing the deal or prospecting to make that sale, but all of a sudden you're nowhere to be seen, they don't feel the love. And so using the 6 behaviors of integrity-based communications, which I'm not going to go through in detail as usual, we're going to focus on how do we use that to retain our customers. So you do have a little cheat sheet on habits to break and habits to make, and I suggest that you hold that for another time when you want to dive deeper. But I'm going to talk about how you can take the principles of integrity-based communications to let your clients feel the love. Now, the first thing I have to begin with is one of my favorite quotes, and that's this. You've heard it before. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Absolutely. And so when you begin with those great top 5 clients, and you want to tell your truth quicker, faster, it may be something as simple as, have I ever told you how much I appreciate your business? I am so grateful for the fact that you believe in me and that you are confident confident enough to refer me to your clients. So saying that you really appreciate them as a client. What you want to convey, no matter what, is you are important as a human being. So everything I'm talking about for your top 5 clients is how you build relationships that will undoubtedly attract business. I firmly believe that the people I'm seeking are already seeking me, and that the energy I put out will pull that person into my sphere of influence, as we've practiced in the mastermind process for years. So just say constantly how grateful you are. Now, how many of you were here when Don Hudson spoke recently, and he went through the 43210? There are 2 things that he does that are incredible in terms of how you can tell your clients how important they are to you. One is, and this is the top of the line, and I'm sure that Don Hudson does this every day, 4 handwritten notes. 4 handwritten notes. So every day. So you have already moved into the Thanksgiving season, and you're going through a lot of holy days in the days ahead. Every day should be a holy day, but particularly as we have the opportunity to drop greeting cards in the mail, or even send an electronic one from Jackie Lawson. That's one of my favorite things to do. But 4 handwritten notes a day. Think of those top 5 people first, but then look down your list. Maybe the people that you've done business with before and they haven't heard from you. And then all of a sudden, out pops this pretty little piece of mail, snail mail that nobody gets anymore, and they go, wow, it just makes me feel so special to open a card from Lynn McDonald. No matter what she says, it just makes my heart sing. So, and the second is touch-base phone calls. Do 3 touch-base phone calls every day. So if you have already written a note for the holidays or whatever, then maybe as it gets closer, you say, well, I just want to pick up the phone and call. You're on my mind, and I just wanted to say hi, and I hope you are going to have great holidays. Is your family coming in? Just a little touch-base call. So those, I have 2 red hearts, one beside each of those, because those are 2 incredibly important things for people to feel that they are loved and appreciated, just like you and I want to be loved and appreciated. The second behavior is to ask for what you want. And the conversation that I just talked about could go something like this. Do you have time for a conversation over coffee? We haven't seen each other in so long. I would love to get together for just 30 minutes. And there are some things that I'd like to cover with you. Basically, I want to find out how you're winning in your business these days. And what's your greatest challenge right now? How can I help you succeed? So asking for the time is a simple thing. But to get together one-to-one is certainly face-to-face is better than a piece of mail or a phone call. Now, when you get in front of that person, you're going to morph into asking questions. And we talked earlier in the section on the educational moment that mindset is really, really important, isn't it? And people do things, according to psychologists, for one of 2 reasons, and that is to gain pleasure or avoid pain. So when you approach people, we don't really know how what their come from is until we ease into some questions that check into where they are. Again, going back to the mastermind principle, what has been your greatest win this past year? What are you excited about? What really has got you fired up about your business? What is your biggest challenge right now? And of course, you've got to take time to listen. What BHAG have you got planned for 2006? What's your big, hairy, audacious goal that you want to achieve? Now, that gets people to really think outside the weather, or have they done all their shopping yet? How can I help you achieve that goal? And one of the ways that we can really show our clients how much we appreciate them is to continue to connect them with the people, the resources, the answers. Sometimes it's just to drop something in, scan an article and send it by email to say, remember when we talked about your biggest challenge? I knew that you would really appreciate getting a copy of this. Maybe that's one of the things you drop in the mail. Take notes. And I go a little bit further. When it comes to some conversations, I want to be totally engaged with the person that I'm meeting with. And I ask for permission when I'm gathering information from a client if I can record it, just so I know that I'm not going to be able to grab everything. I can't write that fast. So I'll just take my smart aleck phone and hit record. Now, sometimes the conversation will take a turn that becomes a little bit personal, or a little bit intimate, or a little bit teary, and we got to be ready for that. That's when I reach over and turn off the phone. So the most important thing after asking questions that really uncover motivators, I'm not talking about questions that just gain information or clarity. I'm talking about questions that get people to dive deeper so that you can relate better to them, and more importantly, so you can be of service to them. Because if we come first from a giver's gain mentality, as we're taught in BNI, these things will come back to us. It really doesn't matter who I refer to if they're the ones who refer back to me. But it does matter that I come from the heart, and what leaves the heart reaches the heart. I think people know that. Number 4 behavior is paying attention. And so the paying attention can be referring back to those notes that you just made, or the recording that you just made, because you really want to make sure that you capture everything. Follow through ASAP. How many people do this really, really well, follow through? How many people follow up within 24 hours? Okay, that's the gold standard. If we can do that, that's awesome. Don Hudson would be proud of us. It may be that the only way that you follow up, because there's nothing that comes out of the conversation that you can really do for them right now. They haven't given you a clue that triggers an article, or triggers a blog, or triggers a person that you want to introduce them to. It may simply be to follow up and thank them for their time. And that's the perfect time for a thank you note. Behavior number 5 is where we really start to build credibility and trust with our relationships. And those top 5 clients are really going to appreciate this. If you say you're going to do something, then do it. If you know that you can't do it, just say it on the front end. I like to say that no is a complete sentence, but sometimes that can come across a bit harsh. And one of my favorite things to say when I'm asked to serve on a board that I don't have time to serve on is, you know, I wish I could, but now is just not the time. Could I write you a check instead? So in other words, you know, sometimes it's just about writing a check because you can't make a monthly commitment to take on 2 more hours for a meeting and a project and fundraising, etc. So, but if you can do it and you say you'll do it, for goodness sake, do it. And stuff does happen, just as happened today, and you need to have a backup plan. But if you have the reputation of doing what you say you're going to do, if you're running late to a meeting, people aren't going to start being snarky about it. They're going to say, that is not like Pat Goldstein. She just doesn't show up late for meetings. And we have, Pat's laughing. Just trying to be nice here. And the 6th behavior is to give and receive accountability. And that is really, really important, because if you not only say you're going to do something, but if you say you're going to do it by a particular time, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you remember that you did not send the email that you promised to, get up in the middle of the night. You will win back some points by it saying 3 a.m. than the fact that you forgot. So stay in touch by phone, by text, by email, and let people know the progress of whatever the project is. Right now, I'm working with some people on some business development that is going to be a long cycle. It's going to be a long sales cycle. And what we do is on a regular basis, you know, we get together about once a month. But what I try to do in between is to let them know on my end of the deal what's hanging, what we don't have committed yet, what meeting we anticipate is going to happen, especially in the holidays. It's really, really busy to get on people's calendars. So just stay in touch by phone, text, check in to see how you can support them personally, because it's not just a transactional business, it's a relationship for life. Those top 5 clients probably end up being the gift that keeps on giving. And so Lynn McDonald likes to say that all the time in BNI. And I have to say, the largest client that I have today is a high 5-figure income. Began because a fellow BNI member asked me if I wanted to help sponsor a Toastmasters club for this company. It was an internal club. And they didn't know what I did for a year. They never asked. I was just there to give, and support, and serve, and encourage. And one day, someone says, "What do you do?" And when they did, when they found out, they said, "Oh, we need you." And it's, you know, it's been never ending. So I'd like to close with a couple of things besides the Don Hudson tip. I've given you another one, which is the handout, but I also want to talk to you about the, I know, hard to pick up, the 29% solution. This is not a new book by Ivan Meisner. It's been around for a while, but I just dug into it again. I was really impressed when I heard it for the first time. And the 29%, you know, you hear people say there are only 2 degrees or 6 degrees of separation, whatever philosophy you're listening to. Well, what this book is saying is only 29% really have those kind of relationships built. And so this is, I'm on week 15 with 3 other masterminders, and we're all in different businesses together. The subhead here is 52 weekly networking success strategies, but it's far beyond that. It's if I had 2 days to be able to share what I'd like to about how to love your clients so they'll love you for life, I would be teaching this book. It is extraordinary. So I highly recommend that you get it. And furthermore, that you are, if you're inspired enough, do what I did. I began a notebook that has notes that each of us have done every week as we work on the projects. And it's really broadened and deepened the way that I do business. I've just begun to launch with 12 people for 2016 how we can work deeper and wider in our businesses. So I hope that these short little tips that I've been able to share today will help you, because I know that the people we're seeking are seeking us, and the people that we're doing business with right now will stay with us if we treat them like a lover. If we take care of them and their business, it will come back to us again and again, because they will refer business to us. They will not stop talking about us. And quite frankly, I don't know how your prospecting works, but for me, working in corporate America, I don't need to talk to the CEO, but I do want to talk to 3 people in every company, so that by the time what they need, the challenge that I solve, the people problems, the communication problems, the team building problems, when they get to the point that they need it, when they pick up the phone, they say, "Your name keeps coming up. I've got to sit down and talk to you." So if you know anybody like that who would enjoy the gift of my book, Integrity-Based Communications, I'd be happy to give you one to give to them so that it could open the door for me. So love those clients, treat them like a lover, and they will, in turn, love you for life. Shelley Bauer, Building People for Life and Mission.